it all starts with really understanding who you're selling to. So the customer experience is also defined by the people that you're going to be selling. So whatever packages or whatever product or services you are going to be defining really come from customer understanding. And that customer understanding, I think, you can do in many ways. Basic customer research, really understanding what the needs in the marketplace are, identifying potential gaps in the market. But really, once you've understood the customer, what those needs are, where those insights are that you can potentially capitalize on in terms of creating products and services, so you start taking a view of what the sales channels potentially will be that will deliver those products and services. So I think ultimately it's understanding your customer, and from that perspective it's then about building a view of how you can actually satisfy those customers' needs. That's where at CellC the marketing and sales functions are very closely aligned. It's around who we're going after, what we're going after them with, and then where we're going after them in terms of delivering against those needs. So the sales marketing function is almost, in a way, one and the same. Clearly the market is very diverse in South Africa, and not only is it, you're looking at 47 million people and each of them potentially have a separate need. Clearly that's not going to work from a product development point of view. So it's about segmentation and understanding clusters of individuals and groupings of consumers where you find commonality. And I think going out into the marketplace, identifying what those groupings are is core to being able to, I think, have your fingers on the pulse. The way in which we do it is not only the marketing team but also the sales team or our key account executives. We also have a group of people called ACEs, or area channel executives, that are essentially roaming the country on a daily basis, either satisfying various sales channels but also collecting information about consumers and changes of behavior. It's a fairly complex market in the sense that A, you have multiple segments, B, that we have multiple products that we are pitching at individual segments, either being it prepaid, be it a contract or a top-up, or in certain instances we have, you might have seen in a lot of the rural areas and even in the townships, red containers, which is what we call a CST, or a community chat telephony. Essentially, that was an obligation that the government put on us to provide low-cost communication. What we've done is identified that as a channel that we could then convert into a place where we could potentially be selling additional products and services. Going back to the word customer experience, the way in which we've defined it is that if you have a strategy, define a positioning for your organization, you build a brand around delivering that positioning or the promise to your consumers, and essentially the touch points at every single point that you are interfacing with a consumer is essentially the articulation of that brand promise. And that customer experience needs to be carefully crafted, quite frankly. And what we have done is taken a view that says, from a salesperson that's sitting in a franchise store all the way through to the call center agent, all the way through to an MMS or a USSD interface, or even the web experience, needs to be crafted and designed in such a way that it's reinforcing the brand. So there's quite a lot of thinking that needs to go into actually creating that positioning. The question around outsourcing and or potentially people representing your brand that aren't on your payroll is quite key, but it's I think for various sort of business reasons you would outsource, but essentially the consumers that are buying your product are essentially buying into the brand, and that brand needs to be delivered by people that aren't on your payroll. And that comes back to great training, making sure that you're constantly getting the message back to your outsourced vendors, or even in our instances, we have retailers that are selling our product. The salespeople behind the counter don't belong to Cell C, they belong to Pick n Pay or PEP or Macro, but yet are selling our product. So we need to be training there and re-inculcating the ethos and the customer experience on an ongoing basis. When we have channels already established, or at least we are signing up channels that are going to be selling on our behalf, how do we incentivize them to potentially sell more? I think if it's the other way around, from a purchasing point of view, I think part of it would be taking your view of what the roadmap is in terms of what you're developing and how you're going to be innovating around what you're selling to me. And in that instance, the way in which I'd structure the way I purchased that was knowing that that roadmap existed and I could buy into that.